Hello, my name is Michelle Finchum. I am the City Sustainability Specialist for the City of Fort Collins. Thank you for joining me on this virtual Earth Day as I walk through what we as staff of the City of Fort Collins are doing to have a sustainable and adaptable organization. I'll be sharing you how we as an organization have a plan on being a sustainable organization and how we'd like to share that with the rest of our region. If you have any questions for me, please reach out to me by email, or if you have any comments, I'd love to work with you. So let's get started. Okay, sustainability in the city. So when you think about sustainability in the community, we have a dual role at the City of Fort Collins because we have our own organization and how our own staff are sustainable, and we impact and influence the entire community through the transportation systems and the building and the land that we have and the way that we use our land. So we do both, and today I just want to let you know I'm focusing very much on what we're doing as an organization that impacts the organization, which of course impacts the way that we are interacting with our customers, our entire community. Let's see. All right, so I'll be talking about our Municipal Sustainability and Adaptation Plan, the plan that we go by as city employees to make sure that the way that we are thinking is operationally is sustainable. And that starts with our value of stewardship. Many organizations have values that they work by, and this is how you hire, this is how you evaluate. There's a lot of things that go into the values of an organization, and we have many as well, but one of them is the stewardship value. And I'd like to just highlight a little bit about how we as an organization infuse stewardship through all levels. So we are dedicated to protect and enhance our organization and communities' economic and environmental, social, economic, and environmental resources. And that is that triple bottom line right there that is in our stewardship value. And we know that we're demonstrating stewardship when we care for the equipment and the materials and the property and the facilities that we use as employees for our community, when we exercise sound fiscal management and effectively manage our assets, very much part of that economic sustainability. We consider the impact of our operations on the well-being of our customers, our employees, and our community. It's very much the social side of sustainability, that we protect and improve the natural environment. We respect property and resources of our customers, and we consider the short and long-term future of our community when we make decisions. So you can see right there, those are the behaviors that are expected as city employees along with that stewardship value. So it's baked in right from the very beginning. So this is what I'm going to be reviewing today. I'm going to be reviewing a 2019 sustainability plan that has 6 goal areas for how we operate as a municipality, as a local government. We'd like to get these done by 2050, but many of these are ongoing long marathons, if you will. And so we're trying to figure out the different strategies to move forward with this. So I'll be reviewing that. This is not our first plan as an organization. We have a 2013 sustainability plan for municipal operations. And prior to that, the municipal operations were baked into some of the other community plans. It was in 2013 that we really separated it out and said, this is how we want to be operating. And this 2019 plan is an update of that. So let me go through each one of these areas so that you can see what we're trying to accomplish through this plan. We want to be a resilient organization. Very interesting during these times right now, the word resilience, resiliency, resilient, how often they're used. And resilience really is looking at are our operations prepared for and can adapt to climate change and disruptive events. And we're really having a disruptive event right now. The good news is that since we have been thinking about this, and we do have disruptive events that we've had in our past, such as fires and floods, yes, we are prepared for it. And resiliency is really that bounce back after you've had that event. And how are we going to recover and how are we going to move forward? And if you're thinking about resilience all along, if you have these solid principles that you're dealing with all along, then the resiliency is that much easier. The bounce is that much easier. So the good news is we've been thinking about this for a very long time, and we're confident that we will be resilient throughout this current event, if you will, of which is a very large event, an unforeseeable event. So this really looks at the systems and the people and all of our assets. You have to think bridges, you have to think pipes, you have to think of all the different kinds of things that we have. We have a lot of infrastructure in the city of Fort Collins. And we want to make sure that regardless if it's the people that we're working with or the systems that we have, do they have that capacity to prepare, respond, and adapt to any changes or disruptions of any scale. So this is an example here. This picture that you can see is one of our tunnels filled with sediment after the fire and then subsequently the flood that brought a lot of sediment down. And so when we have these, we have to adapt afterwards because clearly this system was not designed to have all the sediment in it. And so this is an example of an infrastructure, an asset that we have out there. We're thinking about all of our assets and how we're managing our assets and how they can be prepared for events of any scale. Our next area that we focus on is how our public lands thrive. So our public lands support healthy ecosystems. They're resilient to climate change, they're resilient to the population growth that we have here. We're looking at all of our ecosystem, all the practices that we have on our land, and this also includes our waterways, our streams, our creeks, and of course the Cashlaputa River. And in this one, we own a lot of land in the city. You might think immediately of a natural area nearby or maybe even a park nearby. We also have stormwater detention areas that are designed to hold water during a flood event or during a high water event. And we have land around buildings. We have other kinds of land, medians, et cetera. That's all the types of land that fall under what we're in charge of managing or overseeing. We want to make sure, regardless of the type of land or the kind of use that the land has, that it's thriving. So within this area, one of the things I mentioned is that it has to do with that connection between our land and our water. And this is an example, our storm drain systems. So this is a system that's run out of the utilities department, right? The storm drain system. And the whole purpose of a storm drain system is to get water off of the streets as soon as possible so that things don't flood. So it's great. It's designed perfectly for that. But what also happens is that anything that's on the land nearby or on the street, whether it's physical trash or even things you can't see like chemicals, that also goes down that drain. And those drains are designed to go directly to a nearby creek, a nearby water, some kind of a water body, and ultimately the Cashlaputa River. So we know that the health of the Cashlaputa River depends on how we treat our land. So this is just a very visual way of thinking about what happens to the land happens to the water. And if we want a healthy river, we have to have a healthy watershed. So how we treat our land and when our lands thrive, we know that all of our waterways, and the Cashlaputa River will thrive as well. We are water smart. So we want to sustainably manage our water resources and lead Colorado in water efficiency. And this is a very common sustainability goal that many organizations have. But what's a little different about ours is the fact that we have a municipal utility. We're very lucky to have a municipal utility. And so we're looking at how we're using our water outdoors, how we're using our water indoors in buildings, but also the process, how we get the water, how we move that water to a water treatment plant to clean, how we distribute it to our homes and businesses and schools and town. After that, how it goes into a different system to go to the wastewater treatment plant, how that is cleaned and then distributed back into the river, and the next community is ready to use that. That entire system, that entire process of acquiring the water, using the water, cleaning the water, putting it back, we want to make sure that we're using that water efficiently during that system too. So our sustainability plan is a little bit different in that way, that we've really identified that it's not just about the use once it's been down the pipe, it's about that entire system as well. I'm really proud of this part of our municipal sustainability and adaptation plan. So this is an example of one of our beautiful parks that we have in town. These parks are often designed for high impact use. Think lots of Frisbee games and soccer games and cleats on the fields, etc. That's how they're managed. And we water those, most of those, with what we call raw water. So it's not water that's coming through the treatment plant or it's drinkable water, it's non-potable water. So we have nearby ponds that we can draw the water from and put those directly in through our irrigation systems and onto the park. So this is a great efficiency for us because now we're not using perfectly drinkable water to water our grass, and all of the energy and resources that it takes to make that wonderful drinking water, we're able to just take it out of a raw water source or source that has not been treated. It's a great efficiency for us. That's an example of how we're using our water outdoor wisely. We are zero waste. You may know that we have zero waste goals for the community, and this is looking at internally how we have those same zero waste goals. And this looks at how we manage our goods and our products and our services throughout the life cycle to achieve those zero waste outcomes, right? And so we have to look at the purchasing. What are we buying and bringing into the organization? Then the use, how are we using it? And then the disposal. Now that we have to get rid of it, what are our choices? Whether that is recycling or trash, or is it regulated, or do we have to put it into another system? Or can we put it back into a circular economy? It's that entire process, that life cycle of products that we're looking at in the city. So an example of some of the work that we're doing here is, this is a waste audit. We do waste audits on at least 2 city facilities a year. And basically, the dumpster is kept for a week without being picked up by our hauler. And after that week goes by, they dump it for us, they tip it for us, and then a team of us go out and we sort all of the trash or recycling bin, depending on, into buckets and do a quick waste sort. So we're looking at, ultimately we're looking at, is the trash in the trash, should it be there? Or should it have gone some other place? Is the recycling that's in the recycling, should it be there or should it have gone some other place? Or all there things that should not be in the trash that are there? Batteries are an example. Batteries don't go in the trash. Batteries don't go in the recycling. They have to go to a whole different place. So if we find that, what we can do, regardless of if it's trash or recycling, is work with that city facility, work with that building, and alert the employees in there that these are some of the things that we can change to make sure that we're recycling properly, that we're disposing things properly. And it also gives us some data, some information year by year to see if we're reducing our overall trash or recycling. That goes back to that purchasing. That very first step is, what are we bringing into the organization? So we do these across the city, and we try and have a wonderful time doing it, considering we're sorting trash all day. We are carbon neutral. In this one, this is our citywide climate action plan internally. So we're looking at the climate action plan, and we're saying we need to be doing this internally as well. And so that looks at our transportation systems, our energy production, and the facilities. And we want to be able to lead in sustainable performance and resource efficiency with that. So we have to look at our buildings and how they're performing, the energy, where we're getting it, if it's from a renewable source, of course, our transportation systems. Within this one, we are slowly but surely converting our fleet cars to electric vehicles. When a fleet car is no longer of service or use to us, we replace it with a low emission or zero emission vehicle. So we currently have 25 electric vehicles in our fleet. These are great for the around the towns if you need to get to a conference and get to a nearby, to Loveland or something like that. And you can have one of the pool car fleets for that. So we have fleet vehicles like that we're slowly converting, but also we're also keeping our eye on the markets and the trends for some of our other fleet vehicles, especially around our trucks. We have a lot of trucks. When you consider all of the work done on our transportation department, on our streets department, and utilities department, truck vehicles are getting there. They're not there yet, but as soon as the market is starting to shift where we can start utilizing those electric vehicles and they're going to meet our needs for what those vehicles are being used for, we'll start shifting there too. So we have our eye on the ball in the future, but for now what we can do is start shifting our around the town, if you will, fleet vehicles. And we are getting national attention with that. Every year we make the top 10 list from the National Green Fleet Association, and it just lists different categories. And in the category of City of XYZ, City of Fort Collins, we were 8 in 2019. And just along with this, I thought I would mention that some other equipment that we use that we're starting to transition into that electric world is our lawn and garden equipment. I know the Parks Department is about 50% of the way of switching out their lawn mowers and their cutters and their weed whackers, et cetera, into electric equipment where it makes sense. For some of the very, very large lawn mowers or those big pieces of equipment where the manufacturers haven't quite caught up to the needs yet. We're waiting, but we're ready. And we have also tested some very large, they're called green machines, very large mowers that are running on electric, and they're much quieter. So we're testing the market, we're trying to see where it works. And meanwhile, for the ones that do work, we're starting to shift over for that. And we are a world-class workplace. This is the last one. And this is really important to me. So not just looking at the resource like the water or the waste or the land, but also the people that work in this organization. So we want to be a high performing and resilient organization. And we want that culture of sustainability. So we're baking it right into the plan. What are we doing to make sure that we have that? What are our policies? What is the culture like? And how do we make sure that we're pursuing that excellence that we're trying to achieve? So it's hard to be a sustainable organization if you aren't thinking about those things as well. So this is a great part of our plan because it's really looking out for our employees. We have wonderful employee safety programs, including a medical clinic for employees and their spouses and families. And we also have, I'm sure it's some sort of world-class wellness program. I know they've won awards. I don't know what they are, but it's looking after our physical health and mental health, lots of programs, lots of classes available to us if we'd like them, incentive awards if you, team type awards if you do something. There's always different things at different times of the year, and they're always changing. They keep it fresh, they keep it new, and they keep it engaging. So this is a picture of some of our wellness staff during the health fair, just having fun doing this and really looking out for our employees' wellness and physical well-being and mental well-being. So those examples that we have here under this strategy that we have here. So what we're looking to do is, regardless of the work that we're doing, where we're doing it, we're trying to lead in this space of sustainability and adaptation. I have a picture here of 222 LaPorte Avenue building, and this is a LEED certified platinum building. It was the third in the nation, first in Colorado to have this type of classification. It's the highest LEED classification you can get. And what we were trying to do was gather data along the way of the costs associated with doing this type of building, and then when the return on investment happens, so that we can share that with other community members in the construction of buildings. And so we can share how the costs, the upfront costs really pay off in the long run. Besides the costs, besides looking at the building and saying, oh, this is great and it's very energy efficient, it's very healthy for the people that work in there. So we made sure of our indoor air quality and the lighting, so great for employees that work inside the building all day as well. The same thing goes with the Mulberry Pool, looking at HVAC systems, looking at how we treat pools, etc., trying to make sure that they're constantly evolving and that we're using the water and chemicals wisely and sharing that as well. And the same goes with how we have land and we restore that land and how we use that land. Whether it's a natural area or a park, and we try to lead in this area as well. And if we can't lead, we try and learn from other places. What practices are they doing? How could we adopt those practices, and how is it going to make us better? So we're constantly looking at that field. With that, I'd like to conclude this presentation. Thank you for coming along on the journey with me while I explain some of the work that we're doing in the city of Fort Collins to be a sustainable and adaptable organization. I welcome your comments. I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn or through my email, which is right here. We're doing a lot of different things. I would love to share more, but this is the time that we have right now. So thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful Earth Day. Thank you so much, Sustainable Living Association, for doing this and giving me this opportunity.